Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. I know I say it every time, but it hugely does help out. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from Away Family Life, who says, after 18 years of marriage, I just found out that my children aren't mine. My wife Kelly and I have known each other for over 20 years and have been married for 18 years. We have 17-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I found out that they aren't mine 2 days ago. My kids got those ancestry tests for the family, and we found out that I am not their father. Kelly and I met each other as co-workers at a job right out of college. We both were very ambitious, so after working for a couple of years, we decided to start our own business. We fell in love, and a year after starting our business, we got married. A couple of months into the marriage, we had a massive fight over the direction we wanted to take our business in, and I left our home. She came to me a couple of weeks later, and we compromised. We've been inseparable ever since. Kelly got pregnant around that time. We've been through thick and thin. Our business has been through several hardships, but we've weathered them together. We were always there for each other. We could always depend on each other. I loved her so much. She was a part of me, and I couldn't even imagine a life without her. I trusted her absolutely until this happened. Kelly had been crying and apologizing constantly. She told me that during the time we had a fight at the start of our marriage, she got drunk one night and slept with a random guy, and that she has not cheated on me since. The betrayal has left me disorientated. I told Kelly I needed time to process this, and I'm currently staying at a hotel. I don't know what I'm even doing anymore. The last 2 days have been a blur. I feel like a zombie, completely unable to feel or process anything. I don't intend to abandon my kids. I might not be their father, but I'm still their dad, and I love them dearly. Right now, I'm sitting on my hotel bed, and I've not eaten anything today. My thoughts are a mess, so I'm writing this down to help me process. Kelly has always been a great wife and an excellent business partner. I don't know if I'll be able to look at her the same again, or if I'll be the same person again. I don't know how to move forward. And of course, we do have an update to this story. Wow, the absolute feelings involved in this one. And I do wonder how many of these ancestry tests and stuff like that, how much information is revealed like on the weekly, on the yearly and stuff, because there must have been like 6 or 7 stories we've read in the past year or so where these ancestry tests have revealed quite a lot of information about people's lives. Obviously, I know that's meant to be the point of them, but like shocking information. And whilst Opie is going for an absolute time right now, I'm so glad that he turned around and said, I don't intend to abandon my kids. I might not be their father, but I'm still their dad and I love them dearly. And one of the parts that really got to me about this one as well is that, I was thinking as I was going through it, maybe she didn't know that the baby was this other partner's for all these years as well. But then it got me thinking again, she did know she slept with this guy, so she must have known that there was a chance that these twins, they could be from this person that she had slept with. As Basic says, I found out my dad wasn't my dad after taking the ancestry test. My mother said she doesn't remember. Edit, she said she doesn't remember who my father is. After I asked her, she blocked me on social media, hasn't been in contact with me in over 3 years. Matchgirl replies that saying, my aunt went to her grave without telling my cousin who her real dad was. We mostly suspected she didn't know. She was severely alcoholic when my cousin was conceived, but she basically maintained it was one guy who it couldn't have been and never changed her story. Finally, my cousin did Ancestry or 23andMe and found a guy who didn't know my aunt's name but recalled an encounter outside of a disco bar where my aunt frequented. And my cousin is a spitting image, not to mention her half-siblings, and are startling identical to her. Atheist Comic says, first things first, you gotta take care of yourself, get something to eat. Relax and watch TV. Just unwind a little. You've had a rough bit of news, and that is world-shattering for anyone to have to deal with. You need to focus on yourself right now. Just give yourself what you need and you will figure this out when you have time. It's already been 17 years. Another year won't hurt. When you are ready, you can tell your wife what you were going to do. If she only cheated the one time, then that's up to you if it's too much or not. That's not my business to say. But you could have a family here if you work at it and if you want to keep it together. Devil a Dank Dog says, see, this is like my biggest fear. You can never really know until you get the test. I'm so sorry this happened to you. And one more from Princess Buttercup, who says, please, please make sure to sit your kids down and tell them that you love them no matter what, and that this isn't their fault. Even if legally they are considered adults, they are still teenagers and will blame themselves for this unless you talk with them. And now let's move on to the update to find out what happened next. So the update came a couple of days later and it said, thank you for the overwhelming response I got on my post. I just wrote it down to clear my head and get my thoughts in order. The day after my post, I called my children and told them I loved them. They were scared that I might leave them. I told them they're still my children, even though I'm not their biological father, and that I won't be abandoning them. I just needed to think about my relationship with their mother. I saw several comments telling me that they are not my children because they don't have my DNA, but it matters very little to me. I raised them and they are my children. I spent thinking about how to move forward with Kelly after that. I was angry that she hid the fact that she slept with someone after we got married. I calmed down and really thought about the whole situation. I really wanted to call my lawyer and talk about separation, but I kept thinking about our life together, so I decided to talk to Kelly and give her a chance. I called her and went back home the next day. My kids were thrilled to see me and we spent some time together. Kelly and I went up to our room after that. I didn't speak to her properly since we saw the results. I gave her time to talk. Kelly told me that it had never even occurred to her that the kids couldn't be mine. She told me that when we had the fight early in our marriage. She was angry at me leaving over a business dispute, and after waiting for me to return, she went to a bar one day and got wasted. She picked up some guy and didn't remember much that happened that night. The guy was gone before she woke up the next day and she felt extremely guilty after that. She wanted to tell me but was afraid that I would leave her. To be fair, I was a hot-headed and stubborn guy back then, so I probably would have filed for a divorce without a second thought. To her, it was a drunken mistake that would never come out, so she didn't want to risk our marriage, and I would have never found out about it if she didn't get pregnant that night. She broke down multiple times and apologized constantly throughout the conversation. I believed her story. Kelly has been my rock and partner throughout my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. We trusted each other absolutely. This ordeal has made a massive dent in my belief in her as a wife, but I still trust her as a partner. We had long conversations about our future, and I told her I was willing to give us a chance. I made it clear that we might not succeed and I might leave, but I was willing to try. I assured my children that no matter what happened with my marriage, I would always love them and be their father. We decided to give marriage counseling a try. My wife asked a therapist friend of hers and she recommended a counselor. We have appointments starting next week. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think you would do in OP's situation? Would you be able to stay around and maybe reconcile with the wife and make things better moving forward? Do you think that's a possibility you'd be able to do, or would you just be out of there? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Today I Messed Up subreddit, saying, today I effed up by helping drunk coworker and trusting HR. I-29 male, working digital marketing. Company held a party to celebrate the completion of a big project. As I was walking to my car, I noticed a drunk female coworker. Mid-30s, we worked together for 3 years, but it's a big department and I don't know much about her. She was having difficulty walking. I offered to help and she held out her hand. I asked her if she drove here. She took an Uber, helped her call another one as she vomited. Uber driver arrived, saw the condition she was in and took off without saying a word. Understandable. I decided to drive her home. I have a dual front and rear dashcam setup. I moved the rear camera, placed it in front and adjusted the angle to make sure inside of the vehicle is covered. Lifesaver. Fast forward 1 month to April 25th, last week, and I was called into HR. My manager was sitting with a serious expression. They asked what I did after the party. I immediately became defensive and asked what the meeting is about. HR person said that they received a complaint from an employee accusing me of inappropriate behavior. I responded, I have no idea what you are talking about. I did nothing inappropriate during or after that party. Whoever complained has the wrong guy. They stepped out into the hallway for a couple of minutes. I started to sweat even though I did nothing wrong, thinking I remember giving a coworker a ride home. That must be it. They step back into the office. Manager says they have a witness who saw me put drunk co-worker into my car. I said, yeah, I drove her home, nothing happened, and I did not put her in. She accepted the help. Silence. They stare at me like I'm guilty. Nothing but suspicion and judgment. HR says they'll continue investigating and will speak to me the following week. I received an email today telling me to make a statement for the police and I'm suspended until the case is dismissed. I'm pissed. Really pissed. I hired an attorney and submitted statement to the police. After asking around, I learned the co-worker I gave a ride to is apparently the ex-wife of my manager's golfing buddy. Yeah. Little does the company know I protected myself with dashcam footage as well as a short cell phone video of me walking her to the house. I am innocent and will fight this. Now, I don't really have any advice on this sort of stuff because this could get terribly legal fast. Apart from what most people usually say in these situations is that document everything, write down everything that you can, gather all your evidence, that sort of stuff. And not quite the same situation, but I worked for a company once and part of my job at the time was accepting the mail in and sorting it. This was one of my first jobs, by the way. And occasionally we would receive mail in from the company across the road and we'd put it to one side and I'd go and walk it around and give it to them. And one day we received a parcel and I took it round and I put it on their reception desk and walked away. And the next day I had a complaint that their parcel hadn't arrived but it was accepted at our building. It was signed for at our building. With, of course, my signature. So someone comes across and they say, oh, it was accepted by that person there. Manager gets on my back and then says, well, the parcel was accepted here. And I said, well, I definitely took it across that. I took it across the road to them. They wasn't having it. It was going back and forth. And then they said, well, this will have to be investigated. And it was like 2 weeks of me just sat there sweating, thinking that, people think I'm a thief. When I knew I took that parcel round there and put it on the reception desk. Yeah, I know, in hindsight, I should have gave it to someone directly, made them sign for it. But my assumption was maybe they'd have cameras or something on their reception or something like that. But no, they just absolutely accused me of it. It all died down in the end and nothing else was done about it. I mean, this is years and years ago, but it still winds me up to this day. But we do have an update to this post as well. But before we get to that, MFOM says, sucks now, but in a few months, do send us a picture with all the compensation money. Now it says, doesn't really sound like you fucked up at all. Sounds like you work with some real special people though. Dragon Skull says, so did the woman make false claims against you? Or did you think that this is a boss's golfing buddy found out a guy drove his wife home, manager heard about it and is gunning for you under the assumptions thing? I ask because I'm curious of how well this can go for you. Pretty sure the latter option is a very profitable lawsuit. O Penguin says there's a big glaring issue with this post. Unless you claim to the police that you did something, the police wouldn't investigate. Even if the ex-husband called the police, the woman would have spoken to the police claiming you did something. With that said, I'm very confused. And with that, let's move straight to the update to find out what happened next. So, for some reason, I'm unable to post an update in Today I Messed Up. Hey everyone, many of you asked for an update. Everything mentioned in my original and future posts has and will be approved by my attorney through the duration of the case. It's been a stressful week. Attorney had been incredibly helpful. First thing we did is sit down and lay out all the known information. It took 6 hours, surprisingly longer than I expected. Letting me know the situation is the real deal no matter how easy of a slam dunk case it appears. Common question was, who made the complaint? It was not the co-worker that I drove home. I asked her via phone call and she said, thanks for the help, I'm sorry about this. They, HR and manager, asked if anything happened. I said I don't remember much other than the parts of the drive and you walking me to the house. They didn't seem happy with that and kept pushing and leading me to, answer in a way that made you look bad. But I would know if anything happened or at least have a feeling and I don't. She went on to apologize again and requested I not involve her more than is absolutely necessary as it's very embarrassing for her, which is why I recorded the call. Legal one-party consent. Attorney acquired the outside security camera footage, stored for 30 to 90 days from my workplace. Not sure how he did it, but that was awesome. Video showed me helping drunk co-worker into my car. There was a moment where at first glance it seemed as though I shoved her. But it was her losing her balance and almost twisting an ankle while walking down the curb with high heels. Something strange about the security footage. Bottom right corner has been edited. I thought it was the original. They gave us a censored copy. Attorney did his thing and obtained the unedited version, and we learned who it is they were protecting. The manager himself. He was smoking a cigarette and looking in my direction. He immediately called someone on his phone after I drove off, with the confidence of knowing she is not the complainant. Security video showing me helping her enter the vehicle and not forcing anything, and manager making a call seconds later. Along with having dashcam plus cell phone footage of the drive, I suggested we go directly to the owner of the company. Attorney didn't like it at first, but agreed after some discussion. You may be wondering why I would ever consider talking to the owner. That is fair. I feel like with all the dirt we keep discovering, this has evolved from solely focusing on defending myself to going on the offensive. We spoke with the owner. It wasn't easy making contact with him. The man is very busy, mentioning how he rarely gets involved with these types of things, yet wisely had 2 company lawyers on the call. Without revealing too much, we gave him a good idea how the case would likely play out if it went to court. He understood and said he will conduct his own investigation and further communication will be through his company lawyers. Not even 12 hours later, my attorney and I received a long email from company lawyers explaining everything. The manager confessed. Owners caught him in a web of lies. This is why I kept the dashcam footage a secret. Remember the phone call he made? It was to his golf buddy, ex-husband of the co-worker I helped. Yep. Apparently the bitter ex-husband assumed things happened, so he wouldn't stop pressuring the manager to destroy my career. Some of you were curious why it took 1 month for the investigation to begin. Because my manager's good conscience only lasted 1 month until he caved. But the manager was not the complainant. It was a random employee who happened to be smoking next to the manager at the time. Manager somehow convinced this employee to file a report so that the manager would not be restricted by conflict of interest issues, HR-related policy. He wanted to be involved at all times and steer the investigation however he wished. The complainant never really saw much. Security video showed him walking back to the entrance with his head down, staring at his phone. There's more, but my attorney advised I hold off until the company lawyers contact us, under direction of the owner, who kinda hinted that heads will roll. This is not over. And we will absolutely look out for the conclusion to that story. And if you happen to see it before me, don't forget to send me a message at Narrations on Twitter, because I would love to get involved in that straight away. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? And a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much. And as always, if you want to get involved further, at Narrations on Twitter, always love to see what you're up to. Whilst you're listening, please come get involved, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today